Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum says her country is willing to cooperate with the new U.S. government, but without submission. The Chilean government issued a heat wave alert for December 24th and 25th in 6 regions of the country. And in Romania, a new coalition government won a parliamentary confidence vote on Monday. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum ratified her country's cooperation on immigration and security issues with the new U.S. government, but without subordination. The head of state emphasized that despite Trump's statements and the stance of the opposition in the country, she ruled out a U.S. intervention against Mexico. Regarding migration, Sheinbaum assured that her government is preparing to respond to the alleged massive deportations announced by Trump and warned that Mexicans living in the United States should not be seen as criminals as they contribute significantly to the U.S. economy. Sheinbaum also indicated that she will maintain a high-level communication with the new U.S. government.
We are going to keep our communication with the government of President Trump, and in due time, we will check the conditions to reach different agreements. The only thing we are asking for are high-level agreements that allow us to discuss all the issues and establish the conditions for coordination.
The Mexican president also stressed that migration would be bound to decrease as long as the countries they come from could develop their economies and improve their standards of living of their people.
To the extent that the countries of Latin America and the Caribbean, all countries, but particularly Latin America and the Caribbean, can enjoy conditions for their development and their well-being, migration will decrease in that proportion. The bottom line of how to address migration is to address the root causes that generate it. And that will continue to be our position in all these issues, because we are also neighbors and we must defend the Mexicans living in the United States.
Salvadoran civil society organizations, political movements, and members of the church protest against the approval of metal mining by the Legislative Assembly. The demonstrators demand the legislature not to approve the metal mining law after stating that if it were approved, it would only affect the environment and the health of the people. In spite of the claims of these different sectors, the favorable opinion was approved and the general law on metal mining, which is being evaluated in a plenary session of the Legislative Assembly, is expected to be passed on Monday. The Archbishop of San Salvador, José Luis Escobar Alas, warned about the serious threat of approving the law. On Monday, Venezuela's National Assembly requested the Attorney General's office to apply the Simón Bolívar law to the former deputies of the 2015 Parliament. The president of the legislative body, Jorge Rodriguez, said the law was applicable to the former deputies since they attempted against the sovereignty of the Venezuelan people and flagrantly violated the nation's laws. The ex-deputies could be disqualified to run for public office in Venezuela if the Attorney General's office approves the Assembly's request.
This
is a crime. This is a flagrant violation of the provisions of the Simón Bolívar Organic Law against the blockade for the protection of our republic. And that is why I request the support of the members of the designated commission of the Venezuelan Assembly, so that I can communicate with the Attorney General for the immediate application to these criminals of the organic law against the blockade liberator Simón Bolívar.
The Executive Vice President, Delcy Rodriguez, stressed that the government is working to guarantee a Merry Christmas for the Venezuelan people despite the economic siege and the blockade. Accompanied by other government authorities, the high official arrived in the parish of El Valle, where she delivered toys to children as instructed by President Maduro as part of the Merry Christmas plan, which the Bolivarian government carries out every year. Likewise, the Vice President assured that this year the government has distributed more than 14 million toys across the country, in spite of the damage caused by the blockade against the country. In this regard, Rodriguez highlighted that in 2024, Venezuela managed to defeat the sanctions and the social wounds in order to achieve a positive balance.
The year 2024 closes with a positive balance. If you ask me, I believe that Venezuela as a whole in national union says that we are overcoming the blockade has not been able to defeat our country. We are overcoming hyperinflation, inflation, overcoming the capacity of our workers for their social welfare. We have been defeating the social wounds caused by the blockade, and we know that the year 2025 will be one of greater hope, of greater prosperity, of greater social happiness for our people.
An Ecuadorian court overturned Monday Vice President Veronica Abad's temporary suspension from office and authorized her to resume her functions. The court's judge, Nubia Vera, argued that Daniel Noboa's administration violated the constitutional rights to effective judicial protection, to legal security, to due process and basic guarantees. The resolution also ordered the Minister of Labor, Yvonne Núñez, to make a public apology to the Vice President within the next 72 hours. Abad was suspended by the Labor Ministry in November on accusations of disobeying an order from the Foreign Ministry to leave Israel for Turkey before September 1st due to security concerns. The judge denounced she had received pressure and threats from a member of the judiciary to rule against Abad. And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates and more. We'll be right back, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. The Chilean government issued an alert in 6 regions in the center and south of the country due to the heat wave affecting the country. The Chilean Meteorological Office issued a warning about high temperatures for December 24th and 25th, following the start of the summer. Authorities warned that temperatures could be between 33 and 42 degrees Celsius in areas such as Maule, Biobío, and Ñuble. The Health Secretariat urged the population to remain alert in case of symptoms such as excessive heat, fatigue, stomach discomfort, and intense headaches, with special attention to the elderly, patients with chronic illnesses, and minors. In this context, the Chilean National Service for Disaster Prevention and Response issued a red alert in communes of Los Álamos in the Biobío region, Lampa, and in the Santiago metropolitan region due to fires threatening residential areas. The agency stated that the fire in the commune of Los Álamos burned over 378 hectares of forest. The authorities stated that they will mobilize the necessary resources to address the emergency and urge the population to remain alert to the announcement made by the authorities and to stay away from the affected areas. So far, emergency teams have not reported any injuries or damage to homes. In Palestine, at least 11 people were killed in a wave of attacks by the Israeli occupation forces in the Al-Mawasi area south of the Gaza Strip. The Zionist armed forces said that the attack allegedly targeted Hamas members located in the designated humanitarian zone near the town of Khan Yunis. During the aggression, an Israeli drone strike set fire to refugee tents, in addition to attacking a civilian car and a vehicle carrying security personnel. In the aftermath, the Gaza Strip Civil Defense Service indicated they were able to recover a number of bodies and wounded from the site of the bombing.
We were sleeping in the tent, none of us is wanted nor is anyone around us. So why are they bombing us while we're sitting in our tents? They are the ones who told us to head to the tents in the Mawasi area of Khan Yunis. So how can they bombard us with their missiles on our tents?
Israeli occupation forces made 10 illegal arrests against Palestinian citizens in the West Bank on Monday. According to social organizations of former Palestinian prisoners, the detentions by Zionist forces took place in the governorates of Hebron, Nablus, Ramallah and Bethlehem, among others. Likewise, they denounced that since the onset of the Israeli offensive in October 2023, the Tel Aviv regime increased its investigation and arrest operations in civilian populated areas in the Gaza Strip. The recent wave of Israeli repression coincides with the constant bombings on Palestinian families that have claimed over 45,000 lives, mostly those of women and children. The Iranian government reaffirmed its support for the sovereignty of Syria and stressed that this country should not become a safe haven for terrorism. Regarding the latest developments in Syria, Iran emphasized that its main stance is to preserve the sovereignty and integrity of this country and that Syrians should decide on their future without foreign interference. Government authorities further warned that all countries should be careful not to normalize Israel's psychological warfare and its plan to create insecurity in the region.
In the future, based on the approach of the ruling authorities, we will decide on our relations. The current situation in Syria is unclear. It is important that Syria does not become a safe haven and a place for the rise of terrorism.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. In Romania, a new coalition government won a parliamentary confidence vote on Monday and now faces the difficult task of steering the country out of a crisis where the far right has gained ground. The new cabinet was approved with 240 in favor and 143 against, and includes Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu's Social Democrats, center-right Liberals and the ethnic Hungarian party UDMR. The new government will need to approve a calendar for a new two-round presidential election after the nation's constitutional court annulled the first round, citing foreign interference in the electoral processes. The three parties in the coalition agreed to back a single presidential candidate to prevent the far right from winning. Their candidate at the moment is former Liberal Party leader Crin Antonescu.
In verifying and counting the votes cast by deputies and senators in the first round of secret ballots, on the request for a vote of confidence in the government, they noted the following: total number of deputies and senators, 465. Number of deputies and senators present, 450. Total number of votes cast, 383. Total number of votes validly cast, 383, including 240 in favor of granting confidence to the government. Votes against granting confidence to the government, 143.
South Korean police found evidence of provocative plans against North Korea as part of the investigation launched into the executive over the martial law decree. The material was among the possessions seized from the residence of former military intelligence commander No Sang-won, who is currently detained. The police report accounted for a memorandum of some 70 pages detailing an attack on the northern boundary line and the inter-Korean maritime border. The discovery reinforces the frequent allegations by North Korea, which the United Nations Security Council has disregarded several times. Russian Defense Ministry announced Monday that its armed forces liberated the major Storosheve village in Donetsk. The military briefing ensured that liberating such village located about 5 kilometers southwest of Velika Novosilka town was a key breakthrough. It is worth remarking that Storosheve is close to Zaporozhye, where the Russian army has been deployed. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian troops have suffered casualties in the 46th and 79th Brigades, according to Russian war correspondents. Moreover, they claim to be trapped in what they described as the Kurakovo sack. In all, the heaviest clashes are being staged between the Selonovka and Ulalki areas, where the key interception for the transit of troops and vehicles to Zaporizhzhia is located. Switzerland announced that it will not hold a second conference on Ukraine, stressing that it is preparing to hold ceasefire talks. The Swiss diplomatic department specified that the main issue now is the preparations for the ceasefire talks. For its part, the Russian embassy in Bern declared its readiness for a constructive dialogue on the situation in Ukraine, with the Swiss representatives recalling that the attempts of the Western countries to impose the Kiev-style peace formula on Russia will not change the situation. The Russian government reported at least 2 dead and several injured after an explosion in an industrial building in Abakan city in southern Siberia. The governor said that the incident occurred due to a safety regulation breach in a routine operation. In this regard, the deputy governor of the province explained that the accident was due to the explosion of a vessel during some hydraulic tests and detailed that investigations have begun to find its owner. In the aftermath of the incident, the authority informed 2 people died and several were injured, adding no material damages were reported. The Alliance of Sahel States, made up of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, declares itself on high alert following the actions of the Economic Community of West African States. ECOWAS extended the suspension of the 3 countries for another 6 months. Its leaders claim that this is a unilateral decision that prevents successful cooperation between the 2 alliances. They described the decision as an attempt at destabilization by a few heads of state of the alliance and warned that they are serving imperialist and neocolonialist ambitions. The Alliance of Sahel States accuses foreign powers of carrying out a false withdrawal from the region. Russian scientists displayed Monday the remarkably well-preserved remains of a baby mammoth found in the Siberian region of Yakutia. The carcass was dug up near the Batagaiga research station, where the remains of other prehistoric animals have been found. According to the Northeastern Federal University in Yakutsk, only 6 mammoth carcasses had been found in the world before this discovery, 5 in Russia and 1 in Canada. The 50,000-year-old female mammoth was nicknamed Jana after the river in whose basin it was discovered this summer. The remains weighed 180 kilograms and are 120 centimeters tall and 200 centimeters long. Yakutia is a remote region bordered in the Arctic Ocean, where its permafrost acts like a giant freezer that preserves the remains of prehistoric animals. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.